All right, there we go. Welcome to this episode of Ghost Tales, where we have some fun talking about paranormal experiences and the spirits that haunt Hampton Roads. I am your host, Ashley Knight, and with me today is Al Chewning. He has a long list of accomplishments, if you don't mind me going through real quick. You're an author.
Yes.
You're a tour guide. You host ghost walks in Virginia Beach.
True.
You are a firefighter, former firefighter
Retired,
of
yes.
20 plus years, and you are also the president of the Virginia Beach Historical Society.
Correct.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And I know it was a little short notice, so thank you so much for making time in your calendar for us.
I would have done it no matter what.
So thank you so much. So talk a little bit about, when did you get started interested in all of this stuff? Were you a firefighter and interested in this, or did you retire and think, okay, now I can go into this thing that I've been interested in?
No. As a firefighter, I was with a lot of dead and dying people, and I saw reactions, their last words, or they'd reach out, call somebody by name or whatever else. And so I was kind of, on the edge. I was not a devout religious person, but I was iffy about it. And then I had, when my mother died, she paid me a surprise visit, and
Which we'll talk about later.
yes. And then after that, I was like, oh yes,
There's something to this.
yeah. So I started, bought some equipment, started doing investigations, kind of as a hobby. When I retired from the fire department, excuse me. When I retired from the fire department, I had studied history. I'd lived here all my life, and I wanted to tell people the story about the history of Virginia Beach. Nobody cares, but I tell them about the great Cavalier Hotel, and then mention, oh, by the way, Adolph Kors haunts the hotel. And, oh, tell us more. So yeah, then it became a regular job.
Gotcha. And your book, which I think we have a picture of, Haunted Virginia Beach, what year did that come out?
Wow, put me on the spot.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think in the 90s.
In the 90s?
Maybe.
Okay. And it's doing very well.
It is.
I understand.
Yes, I have 5 books about Virginia Beach and Virginia history. This is the only one that's gone into multiple printings. So.
Awesome. And you can get it at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Harris Teeter's?
Harris Teeter, the Surf and Rescue Museum, the Ferry Plantation House.
Gotcha. Lots of places.
Yes.
So be sure to get your copy, because it is sure to be a fascinating read. All right. So to get us started, we're going to talk about, you were telling me the story about someone named Old Crump. And this is a story that's happened in the Pungo area?
Yes. In a little place called Selma. But it was 2 young boys, blind Stone. He wasn't blind. He shot in the eye with a BB when he was a young kid, and the infection went from one eye to the other, so he was called Blind Stone. And then there was Gene Burroughs. So they were close friends, and they lived. And this was in the early 1900s, so there were no telecommunications or anything like that. So the Burroughs family is having a family reunion. So all the rooms are filled. The son is feeling kind of left out. He's the youngest. So he goes and gets his friend Stone to come over, and they lay in the front parlor because there's no other place in the house. So they lay down, and the next thing you know, Stone's going, hey, you pulled my sheet. No, I didn't. And Burroughs goes, hey, you took my pillow. No. So they finally got up and lit a candle, and their sheets and pillows were floating in the air. And they just thought it was great fun, and they're laughing about it. And it woke their dad up, and he comes in, hey, guys, you got to shut up. But Dad, all this stuff was happening. The things were floating. And so he going to shut him up. He says, boys, do you know what you've done? You've stirred up the ghost of Old Crump, who died in this house 100 years ago. So just be quiet. So, of course, they didn't say anything else. But they would go out, and every time they'd get together, wherever they went, weird things were happening. And they'd come home and tell Dad, Dad, I saw Old Crump again. And he's just laughing because whatever.
Yeah.
But then
he's made it up. He's made up Old Crump, he thinks.
He thinks.
Yeah.
But historically, there was somebody named Crump that was killed, but not in that house.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, everywhere they would go, things would happen. I mean, heavy things like wood stoves would move, beds would levitate. At one point, Scientific America magazine, which is highly renowned, came out, and a reporter spent several days with them, and they would sit together in a quiet room and ask questions, and there would be knocks on the wall, one knock for yes or two knocks for no, and all this kind of thing. And when the reporter left with his story, he said, "Boys, I don't know what this is, but my suggestion to you, don't piss it off." So they stopped seeing each other for a while.
Yeah.
But then situation came up where they had to spend time again together, and this was in a bunk room with 12 or 15 other people. Mm-hmm. And this is when the beds and the stoves and stuff started moving. Some guy tried to make money off of it. So he said, "We're going to go to the theater in Norfolk, and we're going to do a show. You guys just, you don't have to do anything. Just sit
be there.
and whatever happens, happens."
Yeah.
And so they checked into a room across the street from the hotel, and the guy organizing it told the hotel staff, "You can hear a lot of strange noises up here, so just ignore it, okay? I mean, we're not going to damage it. If anything gets damaged, we'll replace it."
Yeah.
And so things did get noisy, chairs banging against the wall and all this kind of stuff. It was just Stone and Burroughs and the organizer in the room. Sorry.
That's okay.
And so the guy from the hotel came up and told them they had to quiet down. And they're like, "No, we told you it's going to be noisy. So don't you get on us,
Yeah.
So a little while later, they called the police. The police came in, and they were trying to explain to the police what was going on. And there was two policemen. One of them's like, "Okay, I'm out of here." But the other one was like, "This is fascinating." So he sat down and observed, and this is the one thing about him was he loved to play with guns. So if there was a gun in the room, it's going to levitate or it's going to do something. Mm-hmm. So when they went up on stage for their production, they just sat there, and nothing happened. And there was a sold out crowd, and they're fraud, liars, and all this. Nothing was happening. And Burroughs got up and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I understand you're disappointed, but you need to understand, we don't have any control over this. This invisible force just comes on its own. Mm-hmm. But maybe if we all held hands and prayed, something would happen." And so they did. Everybody held hands, put their heads down and stuff. And this one woman standing out there all of a sudden rose above all the others and levitated over to the stage. And they grabbed her and had to literally force her down to the ground. And they called out for a doctor. And the doctor came over and examined her. He says, "Gentlemen, I'm sorry to say, but this lady is dead." So Burroughs paced back and forth. "She's not dead. She's not dead. She's not dead," just over and over. And after a prolonged period of time, she woke up. She had no recollection of what had happened at all.
Oh, my goodness. And what year was this?
It was in the early 1900s.
Early 1900s.
Yeah. There's not much written about it. Burroughs did write a book called Invisible Force, but it was never published. There's a few hand, copied things.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Well,
that's crazy. And we can read about this in your book as well.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to take a short break really quick. And when we come back, we're going to talk about your personal story that you had with your mom coming to visit you. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Ghost Tales. We are here with Alpheus Chewning, author, ghost walk guide, former firefighter. You've done it all. Talk about you. So we're talking about your book, Haunted Virginia Beach, and just kind of some of the stories that you can read in this book. This is a very interesting book. But what's not in the book, maybe, is your personal story, or is it in the book?
It is.
Your personal story about your mom. Talk about that.
Yes. Well, a little background information. I was adopted as an infant, and my parents were in their late 30s. So this was in the 50s. Okay. So that means they grew up in the 30s, Depression and all that. So there was a huge they used to call it a generation gap. Okay. So they were not shy about telling me what a disappointment I was to them and all this kind of stuff, because my father wanted me to be, or my adopted father wanted me to be an engineer, and I ended up a firefighter. And of course, anybody with any sense runs out of a burning building, not into one. So anyway, we weren't close, but she developed Alzheimer's, and he had made a pledge to her that he'd never institutionalize her, that he'd always keep her at home. And he was good about that. He would travel and make long trips. He went to China, he went to Russia, and other places, and he'd be gone for 2 or 3 weeks, and there would be somebody staying at the house. So he had just come back from a trip, and he called me, and they lived in Thalia, and I lived in Kempsville at the time. It was a different lifetime. But he called and he said, I need you to come over. I think Mom's had a stroke. So I started over there, and I drove past a farm fresh. And I said, no, she's had a heart attack. She's dead. So I stopped and called the fire department, because there were no cell phones or anything at the time. So I told them what was going on. And
and this was just your perception? You just felt that she had a heart attack? Or?
Yes, I knew she was dead.
Okay.
So when I got to the house, the fire truck's out front, and I go in, and everybody's in the back bedroom. She's on the bed. He's standing next to her, and all the firefighters are just kind of standing there. And I walk in, and they're like, oh, damn, it's the captain's mom. We got to do something. So they start fussing over her. And so I was the one that ultimately declared her dead. And so they left. We got a waiver. The police didn't have to come by. An at-home death usually requires a policeman to come by. But they phoned a doctor, and he said, no, it's not unanticipated. So they don't. So we sat and waited for the funeral home to come pick her up. He went into an absolute fit. They were founding members of the local Baptist church. He was, when he wasn't an alcoholic, he was a deacon at the church. And since she had gotten sick, nobody from the church had ever come over to help. I mean, I understand they were not nice people, but this is church stuff. Nobody had ever offered to make a meal or sit with her or anything. So he's like, I'm not going to have the funeral at the damn church. What do you think? I said, Dad, I don't care. It doesn't matter what I think. He said, hell with it. I'm going to have it at the funeral home. What do you think of that? I said, again, Dad, I don't care. So anyway, we waited. He fussed about where to have the
funeral.
The funeral, yeah. So they picked up the body. I said, look, why don't you come and stay with us? And you just got home from a trip, and your wife of almost 60 years is dead. Why don't you come stay with us? So he did. So he's sleeping in the guest room. The master bedroom is at the end of the hall. There's a guest room off. Actually, it was a guest room. And then the kids' 2 rooms were down the hall even further. The kids were off in college at this point. Okay. And I might point out that I adopted 2 children, so I'm only 15 years older than my son.
Okay.
So I woke up in the middle of the night because I heard this voice in my head going, in the church, in the church, in the church, in the church. And I'm like, that sounds like Mom. Oh, Mom is dead. So I sat up, and Linda, my wife, well, she's my ex-wife, okay, but she wasn't then. I had an ex-wife then, but it wasn't her. She was like the future second ex-wife. But she was sitting upright in bed, and it was my mother's voice coming out of her. Her lips were moving. She was saying, in the church, in the church. So I checked her out. She was icy cold. So I figured, okay, she's a diabetic. So I went to the kitchen to get a soda and get her glucometer and all that. And now as I'm coming back down the hall, Linda is calling for my adopted father by a nickname that Linda didn't know. It was a pet name. She was Pitt and he was Totsy. Oh. So I'm coming down the hall now, and she's going, where's Totsy? Where is he? Where's Totsy? Where is he? Where's Totsy? Where is he? So I checked her blood sugar. Everything was normal. Laid her back down. She woke up the next morning, didn't have a single memory of it. Wow. So for me, that was evidence enough for me. So I looked at things a lot different after that.
That's incredible.
I never told him because I kind of hope she haunts him.
And did you have the funeral in the church?
No.
No. Oh, goodness. Well, maybe she might haunt him now.
Yeah.
For not having it in the church.
Yeah, well, she wanted it in the church, and where was he? He wasn't at the house he was supposed to be in. So
That's true. Oh, wow. Oh, crazy. Okay. And so, yes, you can read stories like that and more in your book, Haunted Virginia Beach. And we are going to take a quick break right now. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about pirates. We all know the Outer Banks is just full of pirate stories and things like that. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. And welcome back to Ghost Tales. We are going to finish up talking with our guest today, Al Chewning, and talking about pirates and specifically about Blackbeard's ghost. And we know the Outer Banks was rife with pirate activity back in the day. What can you tell us about Blackbeard?
well, there's a story about treasure at First Landing State Park that goes back as long as I've been alive. Okay, Edgar Casey said that there's great treasure. There's pirate treasure, there's Indian treasure, and they'll all be buried together. So that when I heard this myth about the ghost of Blackbeard, it just made sense because there's no documented evidence that he was ever up here in Virginia or whatever else. But just make logical assumptions, So anyway, he was killed down in North Carolina, and his head was cut off. So the story was that there was a very wealthy ship captain. He carried his box of treasure with him everywhere he went. And he was anchored inside Chesapeake Bay near the entrance to Lynn Haven. And Blackbeard was entering, and he recognized the ship, so he immediately made arrangements to sail up to it and board it. Well, the captain of that merchant ship saw him coming, so he got his treasure chest and put it in a little jolly boat with 4 of his strongest men, and they rowed ashore. Now, Cape Henry at that point was like 80 feet high sand dunes.
Oh, wow.
So he's dragging this thing up the hill. Blackbeard comes aboard his ship. Where's your captain? We know he's got treasure. And they search the ship and they can't find him. And they're all like, oh, we don't speak English. So one of his lookouts sees these guys dragging this chest. So he gets in a little Johnny boat with 6 of his men. He goes over there, captures them, kills them. He's admiring the treasure when he hears cannon fire. And he realizes that a British ship is coming from the north. So he buries up the chest and he scooters down to the water, go out, and then they run back to North Carolina. And he's killed shortly afterwards. And after he was killed, there was literally a price on his head. So they chopped his head off and they hung it from the front of the ship. And as it sailed past Cape Henry, apparently the disembodied head cursed the treasure. No one would ever find it. Okay, so then he went into Hampton and they put his head up on a stick and all this kind of stuff. So the story is nobody will ever find it, but people say they have found it.
Really?
But what happens when you find it is the headless ghost of Blackbeard appears, and he's so frightening that everybody runs away. And when they come back, he's moved it.
Wow.
Imagine that. So that's a great story. But there's another one about in 1700, there was a battle right off Cape Henry. And there was a pirate ship called La Paix, which was a slave ship that they had captured. And La Paix meant the peace. Ironically. And the pirate was named Louis Guittard. So he came into Lynn Haven Inlet, or in Lynn Haven, knowing that the guard ship was not a top-rate ship. The king had sent a ship over here to protect the colonies. Okay. So he came in knowing that the captain of that ship was kind of like Barney Fife. So he wasn't worried at all. If he could sink that ship, that'd look good in his resume. So he grabs 3 ships that are right off the beach and tows them into Lynn Haven, and they anchor for the night. And they have a huge party. One of the ships was filled with wine. So they party all night long. And the next morning they get up and they see the British ship coming down. They thought it was going to be the one that they knew about. What they didn't know was that like a week before, much larger English gunship with a much more experienced captain, it was Captain Passenger. Anyway.
Great names.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, there's a battle right off Lynn Haven. It lasted all day, and anybody close by came and climbed up on the dunes and was watching the battle. When it was all over, the pirate ship was run aground, and plans were made to take them prisoner. And they said, "Nope, we have negotiating things here." So what are you talking about? You're pirates. We caught you. You're going to die. And they say, "Oh no, we've got 20 or some people from those 3 ships we captured in our ship. One of them is a thoroughgood, a big name in this town. Yeah. And if we don't get what we asked for, we're going to blow the ship up." So a deal was made. Everybody that was on the ship would be transported back to England where they could get a fair trial and a fair hanging. Mm-hmm. So there was 128 of them.
Okay.
But 3 of them were so drunk that they weren't on the ship. They'd been on one of the ships that was taken over, one of the party ships.
Okay.
So they were captured. So that rule didn't apply to them. So they were all hanged right out along Virginia, the coast of Princess Anne County. Mm-hmm. 2 of them couldn't speak English, so they were found guilty almost immediately. A third guy named John Chewning somehow managed to produce a letter, in spite of the fact that, he'd been a pirate and all this. He had a letter supposedly written by the captain of one of those 3 ships saying that John Chewning was taken against his will.
Okay.
And even though witnesses said, no, he beat us and all this kind of stuff, he was found not guilty. Okay. And the judge or the admiral just had an absolute fit. You obviously did not understand your purpose here. And, Sheriff, bring me a new jury tomorrow that'll find the proper verdict. So the next day, they bring him into court. "Jury, have you reached your verdict?" And they're like, "Yes, hang him." So they did, right where the Lesnar Bridge is, right in that area.
Yes.
So they say that in April, when the wind's blowing through the seagrass and everything, you can hear him whispering, "I'm innocent." Oh. He professed his innocence the whole time.
Wow. Oh, crazy. Oh, wow. Okay. We've got time for maybe one more story. Is there a particular favorite of yours in the book?
No, there's a story about the Cavalier, obviously. There's a story about Tautog's restaurant, which is a very sweet story. It's an older lady lived in that house where Tautog's is now. She lived there most of her life, and when she got older, Bill Gambrell bought the house with the intention of making it into a restaurant. But he promised her he would maintain the structure as it was. So nothing's been done upstairs at all. So it's still, and the old lady has been seen on several occasions, mostly by the wait staff. Wow. It's just a calming presence, It's like they might be preparing food, and it's kind of like she's looking over their shoulder, making sure they're doing a good job and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I like those are the kind of stories we like. Yeah. we like nice stories. All right, so remind us where we can order your book.
Amazon,
and it's Haunted Virginia Beach.
Yes.
You can get it on Amazon. Harris
Teeter. Well, it's Arcadia Publishing. So they have these, little stands all around. So I know there's 2 local Harris Teeters that have it. The Surf and Rescue Museum has it for sale. Berry Plantation House has it for sale. And if you come on a ghost walk, you can buy it and not have to pay tax for it.
That's awesome. And tell folks if they want to sign up for your ghost tours, where can they do that?
Yes. Just simply call 757-498-21. Let me start over. 757-498-2721. And follow the tree and leave a message. These ghost walks are made by appointment on your schedule, and there's a $50 minimum fee, but that includes up to 5 people, and then it's $10 a person beyond that. And once you sign up, with your permission, if other people sign up, we'll hook them up to your tour as well. So most we can take is about 12.
12 people. All right. And how long is it?
It's a 90-minute walking tour along the Virginia Beach oceanfront.
All right. And is it in the daytime, in the nighttime?
Anytime you want.
Anytime you want. Okay. And so bring your walking shoes.
Oh, indeed.
and bring your imagination.
Bring your running shoes.
I love it.
You don't have to run too fast because zombies are slow.
They're slow. Yeah, they tend to be a bit slow. All right. Well, Al Chewning, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you here with us today.
It's been great fun. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. All right. And so, yes, check out Haunted Virginia Beach. Check out Al's ghost tours and lots of fun. And they're ongoing, right? You can set
Yes.
them up now. You don't necessarily wait for Halloween.
No,
So, all right.
but it is the season.
But you can, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. All right. So thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have any of your experiences you want to share with us, you can email me at ashley.knight@wavy.com. And who knows, we may have you on the next episode of Ghost Tales. In the meantime, we'll see you next time. Bye.